Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel for my next installment of the Battle for Saint-Marveau in Heroes of Normandy, the Caen expansion. So we're commencing with the beginning of turn 2, and just to recap on the tactical situation as I left it in the previous video, the British are beginning to advance on their objective. So in the northern area, my Wasp is heading towards the house with some infantry backing it up. And I'm afraid, while I've got a fair degree of power over there, my efforts in the south to try and come at it from that direction have proved a bit worse than halting. Between booby-trapped craters and a very determined German officer, I've suffered significant losses, and unfortunately, it's not stopped my movement down there, but it's severely hampered it. I've probably taken too much of an excessive risk by pushing my Piat forward, but I do want to make some holes in that place. I have got a fire team coming up down there. And I do, of course, have my 2-inch mortar, which, thanks to some enemy infantry units being revealed, now has a target. So there are some things that I can do. On the German side, they have much to be happy about. The defense of the house, the objective itself, is fairly weak, and I've managed to scout and reveal that one of the rooms is, in fact, undefended. But they've been holding me very well in the south. In fact, they've been holding me so well that the AI saw fit to detach an infantry squad to go back and beef up the house. And as if that's not enough for me to worry about, they've also received reinforcements in the form of another infantry group that's going to try and get into the structure. So things are looking rosy for the AI, and they're looking so rosy that they didn't even need to call on their off-map 88s to come to their rescue. So not looking happy, but never mind. Looking at my hand of cards for this turn, I have some decent options, and I hope these will be of use to me. So let's see what I want to do. I'm entitled to 3 order tokens. So I think I want to inflict as much damage as I can. So I think I'm going to open the ball with my Wasp flamethrower vehicle, because I think that represents my best chance of harming the defenders in that place. I think for my second, what do I want to do? Difficult choice. For my second, I might have the Piat team follow up by trying to make a hole in the house, assuming anyone survives. If that unit somehow survives the tender attentions of the Wasp, then maybe the Piats can follow up. And then lastly, I think to cause some very necessary disruption to the German infantry who are out and around the outside of the house, I'm going to have my mortar open up. We'll see what happens. So I hope I've made some good decisions there. Time will tell. Actually, I have had a thought. Rather than using their Piat, my Piat team are close enough to throw grenades, so I am going to use them for that purpose, if it proves necessary. But let's see how we go. So I've given my orders. It's a new turn, so the AI gets to draw a card. I mustn't forget that. Now, they are entitled to use that immediately. So, drat. I thought I had given my orders. So it discards my highest order token. That's my highest numbered order token. So for whatever reason, scrambled battlefield communications or what have you, my poor mortar guys never received their order to fire. That's not helpful. Classic British understatement, but there we go. So I will begin by activating my Wasp, and as I do so, the Germans will react. Okay. For the rest of the turn, unactivated AI's units that are not adjacent to an objective retreat 1 square to evade an assault. They receive an activate marker. Oh, okay. That may be useful for the Germans. So that's a permanent effect. Well, permanent for 1 turn. So I will put it on the AI dashboard as a reminder. I mean, to be honest, I wasn't planning on conducting any assaults this turn, but it may actually prove useful for shoving people out of the way outside the confines of the house. We'll see what happens. But anyway, much to my relief, there was no preliminary fire or anything nasty. So my Wasp is going to drive right up to the front of the house, which reveals this unit here. Number 2. I think I've just found the second German officer. And because I have fire on the move capability, I'm going to instantly fill the interior of that building with a gout of flame. Now, as per the rules for 1-room building, I think the flames only affect everything in this particular space. So the people in there are not harmed, but he gets a face full of flame, and we'll see what it does. So I'm firing on the move, which has a -1 penalty, so I only get +4. But thankfully for me, the Germans do not benefit from the defensive strength of the building. So crossing my fingers, we get a 5. So that's a total of 9. It exceeds the officer's defensive strength, but it doesn't double it. So he's not killed, he's wounded, and he is suppressed. Well, that's better than nothing. I'll take it. And I'll give him a suppression marker. So that was not a bad start at all. And there's still no reaction from any of the others. So I'm going to attempt to follow up my success. Now, I think it is worth trying hard to get rid of him. My Piat unit is not an assault unit. And I know there's German tanks coming, so I don't want to expend my Piat rounds. But they are 2 spaces away, so I am going to have them chuck a grenade through that window to follow up, and I hope this is not a wasted effort. It gives them a +2 to their attack bonus, and again the poor unfortunate in there doesn't get any defensive benefit because I'm setting off an explosion inside a confined space. So here we... Oh, wait. Before I do any dice rolling. German reaction. Oh no, somebody saw that coming. So suppression fire, which is good for the AI. But the question is, who's going to attempt to suppress them? They're the obvious target. The officer can't see them through the solid wall there. I think that unit has line of sight, though. The officer can see them too, but he's not really in much of a state to suppress anything. And it probably makes more sense for that unit to do the suppressing. So they'll get an activated marker. Now, if this is raising any eyebrows, because, of course, your infantry unit here doesn't have any suppressive capability. In the solo mode, AI units can conduct suppressive fire. However, if they don't have the suppressive fire ability, they don't double their firepower. So he's trying to suppress me, but he's only making the roll at +2. So I hope he rolls low. Let's get a German dice. 5. Oh dear, that was exactly what he needed, so I get a suppression marker on that unit. We're still going to throw our grenade, we can still do that, but we don't get any bonus because we're suppressed. So I basically need to roll a 6 to eliminate that officer. And I don't do it. That'll teach me to use the German dice for a British roll. Oh dear. Okay, so the only consolation I have is that that German unit activated itself while mine slightly fumbled the throw, but under, completely understandable circumstances. Oh, and also, sorry, I should have done this before I chucked the grenade. Because we're playing on medium difficulty, the German could give an order to one of its units. So it makes most sense, I think, in terms of the defense of this building. They've activated. He's in a rather bad way. In terms of the Germans doing something nasty to me, I think it makes most sense to give the officer an order because he can see my mortar team, and the great temptation is to eliminate them before they can pose more of a threat. At the moment, they don't have anyone who can draw much of a sensible bead on my troops over there, so I think this is the best option as far as the AI is concerned. And it is, of course, now the German's turn. So he'll line up on us. He gets a +2. We only get a -1 for defensive terrain bonus. So do I have... anything that can help me? A few things. Sorry, I was just looking at my hand of cards. So the German opens fire. So that's a 6 altogether, which equals my defensive bonus. However, I am going to thank the helmet, and it turns into a mere suppression. So phew, that was close. That bloke over there is highly dangerous, and we need to get rid of him as soon as possible. But because I had communications scrambled, that was the end of my orders, so we now go straight to the supply phase. Before we leave the activation phase, I am just going to play... No, actually I won't. I was tempted to use Be Ready to take away the activation marker, but that unit's pretty much where I want it to be. So... well, it is for now, at any rate. Oh, actually, maybe I should get them into the building for now. Yes, I will play Be Ready to remove his activation token, which means he can now move in the supply phase. So, supply phase. Quite happy where everyone is. Down here, really, these guys need to keep their heads down, my officer and the 2-inch mortar. I am going to move my fire team up just to about there, because he's still largely invisible to the opposition. The German officer can't see him through the wall, and the defenders of the house can't really catch him either. As for these lads, I want to set them up for storming that house as quickly as possible. I just hope the Germans don't bring up any area effect weapons. Actually, I wonder if I should have that group. No, I'll keep them all under cover for now. It's very tempting to try and flank round, but it'd be nice if we could just break in. So that's what I shall do. The Germans, it's a bit of a tough decision for them. They want to keep a hold of that objective for as long as they can. They do want to bring fire onto me, but using the supply phase to move a unit up would make it vulnerable to attack next turn, especially with my Wasp sitting right outside with its flamethrower humming. So there's pros and cons to that decision. I'm going to roll off for it on a 1, 2, 3. They'll stay put. On a 4, 5, 6, they'll advance up to the window and be brave. Yeah, they're going to do it. So they're going to move up. It does give me more to think about, I suppose, in terms of reactions. And because they've moved into view, they now are revealed. As a fire group. Now that might not have been such a poor decision for the Germans because of course they have this other fire group back here who are going to make full use of the cover. 1, 2, 3, 4 to hurry themselves up to a position here where they can further reinforce the defense of the house. So actually the Germans are well set up to make a good defense here. So that is the end of that. So I like the 2 cards that I have, so I'm just going to draw 2 more. Dynamics fairly useful. Not so impressed with weak point, but that firing bonus could come in handy. And so now we move into turn 3. Oh, before we move in, I will just get all the order tokens back. And activated tokens can go, and anyone who's suffering from suppression can lose one of those markers. So I'd say we're all set. Oh yes, my poor mortars. There we are. Now we start with the AI drawing a card. They've got burst into action. Okay, that's not great news for me. Oh, something I did forget to do. Apologies for this. Those those tactical bonus tokens I drew earlier, I'm going to cash in both of them to get back the 2 units I lost earlier in the game. So they would join my reinforcements deployment zone. So I think I'm going to put them here. And here. Because that's the best approach for rushing them straight up to the house. So, okay then. Start of turn 3, orders phase. Again, I'm going to give priority to my Wasp because that thing is a fairly efficient house clearer. I think my second priority should go to that poor unfortunate... Oh, sorry, I forgot to move them. I would have shifted them during the... I'm not doing very well today, apologies. The whole purpose of me playing the ready card was so that I could move them during the supply phase. So they've taken refuge in the house. And while they're at it, they've gone into Overwatch mode as well. So, who should my second order go to in that case? Depending on what that German infantry unit does, I think I really want to give my next order token to that fire team I've got down there. And then my third one, I am going to hand out to the mortar team. This may be a waste of effort. I don't actually know whether any German units will still be in the open when his turn comes round, but I think it's a chance I've got to take. So we shall do that. And, oh yes, the German retreating special effect from last turn goes as well. So I activate my Wasp and the Germans react with... Ooh, orders. Lots of orders. Okay. Now this is an interesting one because the German player knows full well, or at least the AI knows full well, that those 2 units are about to receive rather a lot of flame. So the question then becomes, who to give the order to. It probably serves their purposes best to give the order to that unit because they're the most vulnerable to enemy attack out of the two units that are outside the house. And the Germans probably want to get them into a decent defensive position and out of that exposed one. So we'll do that. And the Germans also get to draw another card. Ah, and they have drawn Tactician. Okay, that will serve them very well next turn. So, have I got anything that can help me out? Not really, although I will keep the second chance in hand, just in case the flame attack doesn't work out so well for me. So, another gout of flame goes into that room, mainly aimed at him, but it'll spread through the room. Although, obviously, leaving those bits unharmed. So, I get a +5 because I didn't move this turn. I'm going to roll for the infantry unit first. 7. Okay, that's disappointing. It's not doubled, but it's enough to get a fair few of them. Because, of course, a full-strength infantry unit has a defense of only 4, because sadly there's quite a few bodies in that unit, so statistically they're more likely to lose a few. So they get hit by the flames, but they're not eliminated. And their officer, 9. Okay, now that is a bad loss for them because he was already wounded by the previous attack, and that's now enough to kill him off. So the second flame attack gets rid of their officer. I have to move the danger marker up 1 on the track. For those of you who are not familiar, again, with the solo mode, this is the danger track. Every time the Germans, or whoever the AI is controlling, loses a unit, this marker is moved up the track, and the AI player becomes correspondingly more dangerous. So I suppose a good analogy is if you're fighting a wounded animal, if anything, it's a bit more deadly than it was when the fight started. And it also helps the AI stay competitive. It's a nice touch in the design of this game. So I have enjoyed a triumph of sorts there. And I've also slightly damaged the German command arrangements by killing one of the officers. So far so good, but now it's their turn. There's no easy target for this unit, so I think it makes most sense if it simply enters the building. It'll use up all its movement doing so, but at least it's fairly safe, and my flamethrower can't get at it either. Plus it's contributing to denying me that objective. So I think that's a fairly sensible move for them. Now, what am I going to do? So I've got this unit there. What I have in mind is dashing it up there. I sadly can't make it on this turn, but there'll be an... Ooh, actually I might. Okay. I may... although it's risky because that suppressed German unit could do horrible things to me. No, I think I'll err on the side of caution when I activate that unit, but before I do, what do the Germans do? So that's an assault. Now, the question is, who's going to do the assaulting? Do they want to carry out an assault? It's probably not a good idea with that. Well, that German unit is suppressed as well as depleted anyway, so it's not in a good place for launching an assault. The one back there is too far to assault anybody, and the one here has moved. The officer could conduct an assault, but that would mean leaving his very strong defensive position. And the Germans have already lost one of their 2 officers. I think that represents an unacceptable risk. So it then becomes, if an assault can't be carried out, what about a shooting action? Now, a shooting action is seemingly a better idea, and the Germans do have choices. That unit there, even though it's suppressed and weakened, can try to shoot at the Wasp and see if they can remove it as a threat. Alternatively, the officer could have another try at shooting at my mortars. He did very well the last time. I think either's quite a valid tactic in terms of the relative threat level, so I'm going to dice this one off again. On a 1, 2, or 3, that unit will get a shooting order to target the Wasp. On a 4, 5, or 6, it will be the officer. It's going to be the officer, and he's aiming at my mortar team. So he gets +2, 4. Thankfully, that was not a very good shot for him. And he gets an activated marker, which is good because I know he'll be keeping his head down for the rest of the turn. As for me, I am going to 1, 2, 3. I'm going to press an infantry unit right up to the entrance to the house, but we're not actually going to go in yet. I hope I don't live to regret that. And lastly, my mortar team is going to... Oh, wait, no. Bad Andrew. Don't forget the Germans get an order as well. So only 2 units are eligible to receive an order at the moment. And one is that rather damaged infantry team, and the other's the one back there, which could actually wait for the supply phase. Now, when I say only 2 German units, I'm not forgetting that off-map they have their 88s on standby. I think, given the situation that's prevailing on the map, what the Germans really want to do is give an order token, at long last, to their 88s. So I'm going to place the order token right there on their support tab, support template, which represents the 88s. And when it comes to their activation, they'll open fire on some luckless Brits. However, before they do that, I will activate my mortar, and then the Germans will react to this one. Another special effect. Up to 3 AI's infantry units, excluding specific units, officers and armor, that means, that meet the conditions for ambush are put in the unit bag and replaced by anonymous unit tokens. Okay. What that means in practice is that German unit there, and I think that German unit there as well, have basically gone concealed again. Oh, actually, no, that one is visible to me, but the one hiding behind the building is not. So he goes back into the unit bag and is replaced by one of these. That's actually quite handy for the AI because it means I can no longer target him with indirect fire. Which now begs the question of who do I actually lob the shell at? The ones in the building are very well entrenched. I was hoping to catch some German units out in the open. What I may do is try and get a measure of vengeance on the German officer by seeing if I can land a shell on him. Hope this isn't a complete waste of my time. So here we go. 5 or 6 is needed, boys. A 4. Okay. I might see if I can re-roll that, because I really would like to try hitting him. Oh dear. That's not what I wanted at all. So it wanders off. 1, 2. Blast hits the outside of the building and doesn't really affect anything. So no is the answer. I did not do very well there at all. And that brings turn 2 to a close. No, turn 3, correction, sorry. So we finished the activation phase for turn 3. And I'm just going to move into the supply phase. So non-activated units, I won't bother moving my officer because I like where he is. That lot I want to stay where they are for now. So I think I will just bring up my reserves over there. As for the Germans, that unit will quite sensibly enter the house and help to hold the objective. So that's that for that side of things. I will keep those 3 cards because they're all quite useful in their different ways. And a thank the helmet never goes amiss. So all that remains is to recover order tokens. I've forgotten something very important before I get on with all this. I placed an order token on the German 88, so they are going to fire. Now the off-map 88s enjoy the following stats. +3 versus infantry, +6 versus light vehicles. And they're eagle-eyed and they can damage structures as well. Basically, they're nasty. Now, luckily for me, my only soft-skinned vehicle is hidden from their view because it's in the lee of the house. But they can see some other units, so in terms of who they target, it makes most sense for them to try and break up my infantry who are massing for an assault. So they're going to target that infantry unit, and they get a +6 to their roll, which is going to be pretty horrible. Ooh, 11. Now my total defense strength was only 5, so I'm very sorry to say that they have lobbed a 88mm shell right into the middle of that group and killed them off. That was rather brutal, and there's a lesson for me in worrying about those nasty 88mm that are hiding over there. But anyway, sorry for doing that out of sequence, as I've done a few things on this turn, but the Germans did get a bit of a last laugh there. And now I'll finish gathering up, as per the supply phase, the order tokens. And I'll get the activated as well. And of course, anyone with suppression markers loses one of them. So there we go. That is the situation at the end of turn 3. Now, the other thing that's going to happen is the Germans finally get their reinforcements, which represents a substantial stack of units. They are going to begin assembling off the eastern edge of the board, and so you'll see what they are at the beginning of the next turn. I won't bore you while I sort out counters and place them, but I'll make sure I do a fly past at the beginning of turn 4 so you can see what I'm up against. So the situation's now getting a bit more serious for the British, because I have still not taken the objective which means that I still don't have access to my reinforcements. And next turn, German units are going to begin arriving in an attempt to retake the town. So I'm actually in a bit of a pickle right now. And the pressure is on me to try and do something in order to hang on to the town and secure my objectives. So will I do that? Well, we'll all find out in the next video at the very least, or possibly the one after that. So I'll stop this one there, and I'd just like to say, as before, thank you so much for joining me on this and following the channel. Your company, as always, is massively appreciated. Huge hello to my fellow veterans from Heroes of Normandy. Always great to have you guys along for the ride. And observations, comments, queries, all are welcome. It's one of the best bits about engaging in this sort of exercise. If you happen to be new to my channel, a huge hello and a warm welcome to you. If it's Heroes of Normandy that's brought you here, I hope you'll check out some of the other videos I've done for this marvelous game series. But if it's wargaming in general, a huge welcome to you anyway. Please have a meander around the channel. I hope you find something else that you like as well. But whatever's brought you here, and whatever your interest might be in this particular series or this game or the hobby in general, thank you so much for joining me. It's hugely appreciated, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Take care. Bye.